The LPL award ceremony is coming right back, everybody. And this year round, it's not tagged to a Demacia Cup, which means it's kind of like if you're coming to the movies, you're there just for the movies. And if you're coming there for the award ceremony for the movies, then you're just coming in for the award ceremony. You're not coming in for both the award ceremony and the movies in between, which means that if you're coming in for games, you get to watch the games per game per game. And if you're coming in just for the fun of watching the awards, watching players get recognized, and you get to see that from beginning to end. There's not going to be a Demacia Cup. There's already been a Demacia Cup in the previous, I would say, split and a half. There have been enough Demacia Cups this year. So this time around, we just get to enjoy the award ceremonies. Which I will say, opportunity lost to the other regions, to both North America and to Europe. Because I think it's a very fun thing to kind of do during the off season, to kind of put people inside of a room, give them big ups, say, you know what, you get recognized this year, and everybody gets to watch you do so, and you get to wear a nifty I was about to say sweater. I mean, if you want to, you can come in with a sweater, but I do recommend a suit. I've been seeing some sick-ass suits over the year, and it feels nice to come into an award ceremony and get recognized. We already saw an esports award happening for a lot of people. Thorn won one, that's nice for him. A few people, I think River won one as well. So it's nice to see people get recognized. Oh, Shocks won one too. I remember that one. So there's a lot of people who end up winning the awards. They don't even think about these events, but when they do happen, it's nice to get recognized. So I love the idea of an award ceremony, and I think once it starts happening in these Western regions, people will come to appreciate them. So what's happening in this award? I mean, we kind of got spoiled as to the first award, which is the most popular player of the year, was not surprisingly came into a popularity contest, and not surprisingly, Uzi won that popular vote because he is the best AD carry in the region, best legacy of an AD carry in history, and the man is still playing the goddamn game, so he's going to keep winning these awards as long as they hold them. Maybe if Clearlove gets a strong international showing underneath his belt, and that popularity can kind of push himself forward. But for now, Uzi's the most successful player, so he's gonna get it. So let's talk about this. Let's go straight into it. What are the nominees? What are the awards being talked about? Now, there are a lot of, not like, I suppose, awards being handed out. A lot for the staff, right? Support staff. I love the fact that they're getting it, but the problem with giving awards to support staff is that like, how do you determine who's the best coach? How do you determine who's the best manager? That is being determined here, but it is impossible to do so because a lot of the times people will look towards the most natural thing, which is success. Which team is the most successful one? Okay, well, guess what? They end up getting the award for the best coach because they win games, but that's not as easy as it is because, you know what? You can have an incredible coach. They may not have the players necessary. You may not be hashing out the big bucks to get these players, but they're doing much better with this coach than they would be doing if the best coach of the league gets swapped with them. It's confusing, I know. Sometimes you can be an incredible coach and not be an incredible team. So I won't be talking about that. I'm going to be nitpicking which award that I'm going to be talking about. And most of it's going to be player-based. Most of it is going to be about specific roles that I can identify and hit hard. So let's hit with the first one. Let me just get that one ready. Which one am I looking for? I am good at this. I'm just going to judge it based on this. I'm kind of sad that I can't find it. I had it all ready and postered up. I'll just find it here, but for the first one, it is the MVP. There we go. Get that down here. Okay. MVP of the year. Who is the MVP of the year in the LPL? Good question, everybody. What's the answer? Because let's look through the nominees of which they gave us. Condi is the first one. Mystic is the second one, the second nominee. Surprisingly, immediately you get two WE members. Third one's going to be Mako. Fourth one's going to be Uzi. Fifth one's going to be Xiaohu. All of which are incredible stars throughout the year. And they found success for their teams. Two RNG members, one EDG member, and two WE members. All teams, of course, have gone to Worlds. They've all succeeded for solid reasons. Now, immediately, if you were to look at these players, I was like, well, I would add a rookie instead of an Uzi. Why? Because Uzi didn't have an entire year's worth of games to kind of look at. He, after the spring split, did have a hiatus until after Rift Rivals. Right? He wasn't even there before Rift Rivals. There was a hole in the RNG's bottom lane where they did play Wushin a little bit, but more so Y4, and Y4 had an incredible showing. I hope I get to see him again on another team. Perhaps not an LPL team just because there's so much AD carry talent, but hopefully on a developmental team, and we get to see more of that guy because he had good Kalista plays, though Kalista's a little bit broken. But yeah, I would rather see Rookie here, right? Okay, so do I think Rookie would end up winning it? Because nominees doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be ending up winning it. There's only one award for each point. No, I don't think Rookie would end up winning MVP of the year, though it is very easy to, like, some people would. No, I would be going, ooh, this is going to hurt. This is a tough one. I'm going to go, see, even, I'm kind of second guessing myself. The longer you look at this list, the more you're like, ooh, it's a tough one, right? Because for me, it's a pull between Mystic, Mako, and Xiaohu. Mystic, and I mean, and remember this. This is going to be, a big point of this is going to be towards consistency throughout the year. From spring split, summer split, impact, of course, within your own team, impact within the league, how strong are you as a player. And although it's very hard between these three because they are the, I would say, poster boys of consistency. Xiaohu, Mako, and Mystic are the backbone, the carries, you might say, within their teams. And you would want to kind of give it to Mako because during the spring split, which is the lowest point of EDG, they had one veteran. It wasn't Clear Love. Clear Love was not there. It was Fire Lolly coming in. It was Mako. Mako was the shot caller. Mako was that kind of voice of reason that you would want him to be on your lineup. You'd want him to be leading your team during this moment of poor play, or not the best play, not what EDG would expect from their teams. And not only was he winning lanes consistently, conceptually the team was moving well early on in the games, but there would be holes in the mid game. Now, I wouldn't necessarily blame Mako for that, but it just makes it much harder because obviously EDG is not the most successful team. Out of all of these players here, they are the least successful players, you could say. That you would be more inclined to kind of give it to Xiaohu, to give it to Mystic. And that's why I'm like, that's why you would want to give it to somebody who has worked that much harder. But thankfully in this award, I will give it to Xiaohu because not only was he on a winning squad, sure, did he have the help of Uzi before and after, I would say, this, like the moment, of course, remember when Uzi was taking that hiatus. But when Uzi was there, he had that help of having Uzi on his team, thankfully, sure. But we do know, we do have the context of what RNG looked like without Uzi. Who was the carry of that team? Who did they rely on? It was Xiaohu. Xiaohu had the best year of his career, thankfully. Like, immediately he could just say that. He was able to carry games for his team. MLXG played towards him. More often than not, he would be playing Corki or Syndra. And he'd be roaming towards the top lane. This was a time in which Let.Me could play carries. They would play towards the top lane in the sense of getting a lead into Xiaohu, and then Xiaohu chooses where he wants to go. He wouldn't stick to mid lane, and it wouldn't be a Rookie kind of game where you would just get Rookie as fed as humanly possible, smash that lane, and then maybe look outwards. It would be like get the lead onto Xiaohu, and then more often than not, when he finally gets a push, he looks to get an impact, and it would be towards top lane more often than not immediately. And then, of course, a lot of people will remember where RNG, they get towards the semifinals. They get to constant playoff games. They go so far. And it was Xiaohu who would bring them from the brink of defeat with incredible Corki play. And he made a name on that in international play as well. So Corki was a superstar this year. He gets that award, especially for that consistency for who was and wasn't on that lineup. Let's go to the next one. Ooh, this one's a good one. Best club of the year. Once again, you get to see the same three faces, RNG, WE, EDG. Guess what? You get to Worlds, you get boosted as seeing as the best club of the year. Now they give us a reason, or at least kind of like an idea of what this entails. The club of the year needs to have a good brand image in order to have good ranking in the achievement, various league matches. This one's a success in the league, that is, like winning games obviously kind of hits that. Actively build the reserve force in your team, so like just subs on your roster, that's a positive, and I think every team here does that and found success in bringing those players in. Now EDG have not found that success, but you could see good habits in certain players like Audi. Ice Lolly has had actual major gains within his own play, and so for him to come into the spring split, you can definitely see reason for EDG to bring him into the next year. And he could legitimately be a very strong, viable jungler. Let's say in the future where ClearLove isn't playing because he wasn't having a good spring split this year. It makes sense that that might be the case in the next year for if any reasons occur. So I like the fact that EDG does that. I like the fact that RNG, when problems arose, especially in their most vulnerable position in the sense that their AD carry, superstar AD carry, wasn't going to be playing at the start of the summer split. They had Y4 ready, good on them. They had Wushin ready because they had Royal Club in the LSPL, excellent. They were able to bring them in, and they had the talent to kind of build up their roster. Remember going into the spring split, they literally brought up 2 new players. Ming coming in from Young Miracles, and Latmi coming in from Royal Club, their B team. Squirtle Squad. So a lot of these, of course, great brands, but who ends up winning it for me? For me, it's going to be WE. WE has had an incredible spring split with a victory in the spring playoffs, of course, taking first place there, going to Rift Rivals, getting major wins, especially one against SKT at the time, going very far in MSI, sure, losing to G2, but where were I would say they've gone as far as you can possibly go. Sure, last time around in MSI that RNG attended, they went just as far, but WE has had an incredible growth, succeeding even that of RNG. And then going into the summer split, it felt like WE were just in a collision course with Worlds, which they missed out last year, and they were able to achieve that, go as far as to getting to the semifinals, losing to the team that literally won Worlds. As good as you can get in terms of brand strength. And they are always the team that have secondary lineups. They always have an LSPL team or a TGH team coming up. Their TGA team lost, weren't able to move on to the next section. They always have team, I think, they have the same team names that they use time and time again, like WE Future. By the way, WE Future 957, former top laner at WE Future when they were in the LSPL a long time ago back. Now he's an incredible top laner in WE. So I would say the WE has been the best team at raising multiple sister squads that go in through the TGA, go in through the LSPL, and they really do get growth off of that. They've been benefiting from it. So they win this time around for me because not only was their main squad successful, but you can tell that they've been improving in terms of their talent. Next one, baby. Boom. Oh, wait, yeah, I said boom. Get out of here. The next award. And this one is the most improved club of the year. This one's an interesting one. Because how would I ever call WE the most improved club? Why would I ever do that? Right? Last time around, they were a 4th place team. This time around, they were a third place team. And sure, you could say, well, no, wait a minute, Brass. Hold on just 1 second. What the hell are you trying to tell me now? They were a fourth place team, and then they go into spring, and they were a first place team. You're trying to rewrite history now. Sure, in the spring. But then there was that dip, and people will have to address that dip in performance coming in at a WE. And it is a discussion about growth. And while WE found real growth, they did. Fourth place to first place is incredible. And even though they ended up in third place, eking into Worlds just barely, going up against Invictus Gaming, boom, 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 boom. They still made it. That's still growth. They still made it pretty damn far in Worlds as well. That's big growth. But the winner for me is going to be oh, Jesus, I almost said WE. OMG, OMG, OMG. 2016, OMG should have been kicked out of the damn league. 5-game series against Young Miracles in the relegation tournament. They should have been kicked into the LSPL. They succeeded. They brought in the same damn players. Like, who does that? Team Liquid. Who does that? Who decides? No. You guys, even though you guys were gonna, we were going to lose everything. Fortunes, a legacy. We're bringing you all back again for season 2. They did it. And honestly, that was something I kind of wanted them to do. I would say publicly that I want this team to stick together, except for Xiang, because Xiang was the one player that I felt like was a major weakness as a top laner. And even though he had some good performances in the relegation tournament, it still wasn't consistent. But he really grew to what was the top 3 top laners in the league. And people will say, well, is Xiang top 3? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. There's a lot of top laners. There are a lot of top laners. There are a lot of top laners, but he was a consistent force. When Duke started falling, when Kabe started falling, he was still there. His solo laning actually gotten much better, where he was, in the beginning of the split, solo killing someone. And then he was able to take certain wins in his own lane, and then he would be able to push that off elsewhere. And I felt as though his team fighting was already strong. His laning phase was the only thing that was kind of weak, and he felt like Mouse is already like the facilitating tank top laner, but Xiang felt like a worse Mouse. He just improved immensely as a player, as a leader for the team. And OMG, by the way, spoiler alert, became the second best team in the spring split, not in like holistically, but within their own group. From what was a last place team to becoming the top 4, top 3 teams. And sure, they couldn't get as far as they would want to during the playoffs. They were so good in the regular season. And sure, everyone remembers OMG falling apart near the end of the summer split. But them falling apart was essentially them from being 4th place to 5th place, right? IG overtaking them. Whatever. Like that. That's still an incredible growth for OMG that kept the same roster. Kudos to them. And it was a full Chinese roster as well. Next award. Ooh. This one's a weird one. In recognition of 2017 season, follow the union norms, focus on industry changes, keen to enhance overall social influence of the industry, the club's professionalism of the club, the year's most esports club spirit. Jesus Christ. I feel like okay, I'm going to check this translation, make sure. Alright, so basically social media, the most spirited esports club. I don't give a damn about this one. I'm not going to lie, I don't give a damn. I would say perhaps Newbie. The Newbie social media presence were pretty damn good. I mean, they're a multi-game organization, so if you go into their Weibo account, a lot of it's just Dota. Doesn't really amount to much in League, but they do have a specific League Twitter account And of course, Newbie is just an active team. They even have a cat. Who doesn't love cats? And honestly, EDG should just be here just because of Nice. Already, I see a hole in this award. Get this one out of my face. Move it along. Where's Nice? This one's the one that matters. Rookie, not rookie, but Rookie of the Year. It ain't Mike Young. Squirtle Squad. iBoy Ning Ming. iBoy, you are disqualified. iBoy, a lot of this one's going to be about looking into the future because you didn't have much of a split here. Much of a year, I mean. Spring split, where are you? It's Zet, right? Summer split, where are you? It's still Zet until near the end of it where it's iBoy, and he was performing very well. It was basically he had the same laning phase strength of Zet, but then his positioning in team fights was so much better. His confidence is kind of abnormal during these team fights. Pick up Kog'Maw, walk at them, just slowly walk at them, and just like, and he would know when he would need to flash out. Essentially, he would just solo win certain team fights, just purely based on his mechanics. And we already saw it at Worlds, right? People are going to be focusing on what happened in Worlds when he was in top lane with Twitch. Jungler tried to gank him, popped out. So, I mean, that's great. Sure, right? That's fantastic. That ain't the year, though. That's a segment of the year. And that comes down to recency bias. Sure, we remember what happened in the last couple of weeks of the year. And it's very easy to talk about that, but not instead of like these two people right, these two people right here who made name for themselves throughout the year. So let's talk about them, or at least a little bit of longer time. Ning and Ming. Both of these guys, former Young Miracle laners. Literally dual laners. Bottom lane, Ning and Ming. AD carry, Ning. Support player, Ming. They literally named each other after themselves. And sure, you can talk about the fact that, well, I mean, Ning and Ming was literally, it comes from their own names, but it made it easier, a little bit more cute, just because they were laning with each other. Beginning of the year, in off season, Ming goes to Royal Never Give Up, breaks up that bottom lane, and Ning takes up alcoholism. No, he just goes into... The man goes into the jungle position and he plays so damn well. I was questioning whether he's going to play well in the jungle. Guess what? It doesn't matter. You still have the mechanics of an AD carry. And he was also a smart player regardless. And so he just played around his solo laners. And he took up the role incredibly easily. And then he moves on to Invictus Gaming. That was in desperate need of a mechanically intensive jungler. They even brought in a solo queue player named Rio, who was, sure, like he was really well, he was talented on Graves. He was a good Graves player. He was decent at Lee Sin. But then you put him on the big stage during playoffs. They tried to test him in playoffs. That's when they brought him in. And he died to Krugs. He had no pressure on the map. It was embarrassing. It was sad for Rio. And you can't even blame him because you brought in a new player during playoffs. Like, what do you expect to happen? So bringing in Ning was easier for them because Ning already had real competitive experience. And sure, it was in a secondary league, but guess what? The LSPL is LAN. Literally LAN. And Ning goes to a lot of these LANs, obviously. Goes to a lot of the playoffs, obviously. Part of Young Miracles, you're in a lot of final situation, a lot of playoff situations. And your Young Miracles, you're going to these third-party tournaments quite often. Ning has on-stage experience. Made it incredibly easy that Ning's playstyle was playing through mid and top lane, which is exactly what the Invictus Gaming playstyle is. So the man fit like a glove, and he really did well on this team. He was a strong carry jungler. The team had a lot of confidence in him to bring out the Lee Sin and Kayn. Damn, that guy was sick. Brought in a lot of MVPs. A really good player, only eclipsed by the fact that Ming is a freak show. Squirtle Squad. And that's where my award's going, baby. Ming is crazy. Ming is literally a rookie support on RNG, one of the most popular LPL teams. Laning with Uzi. How much pressure do you need, man? How much pressure am I going to put on you? Laning with Uzi. My God. And you're filling the shoes of Mata. You're done. One day in, mental kaboom, you're gone. But he comes in as a rookie and acts like a veteran. He was learning along the way. But for the most part, remember, a lot of comms are starting to come out where he's known as the shot caller. It wasn't Uzi. It was not that much a MLXG. It was purely through Ming. That was what this discussion is about. And during their hard losses in the spring finals, he was the voice of reason. There were comms that were coming out there where, of course, he would be the one that would talk the team into relaxing, refocus them. He acted like a veteran you can rely on when he was a pure rookie that, quite honestly, he should have been the one that people should be taking care of. But, I mean, the guy really fit in well. And he was aggressive, which is exactly what, Uzi appreciates. Coming in with that Leona pick, which is very comfortable. And I'm not talking about preseason Leona, busted aftershock Leona. I'm not talking about Leona in Worlds, the Ignar Leona, the Wolf copycat Ignar Leona. No, I'm just talking about the fact the guy just randomly brought in Leona during like a Karma support, Ardent Sensor, all that bullshit meta. Well, Ardent Sensor came in a little later on, but regardless, it was still mage supports, and the man decided, nah, not gonna happen. So he was as confident with the picks that he was coming out with. And on top of that, because of course it doesn't end with Ming. Actually, I just you know what? I forgot about that. I was just so focused on the Leona point that I completely forgot about the last bit of him. But yeah, he hits it for me. He was an incredible player in a lot of cases, a lot of strength within his own laning phase. The last point was the fact that Uzi wasn't even there during the beginning of Summer Split until after Rift Rivals. He was dealing with an incredibly new AD carry, a rookie AD carry, named Y4. And he had to lane with Y4, change the complete style of what RNG was as a team. And it worked out incredibly well. Didn't matter. It felt like they were still the best within their own group, even without Uzi. Their lanes were doing well. He was still able to rotate towards the side lanes quite effectively. Ming, the second best support. And that already, I guess that is an incredible spoiler as to the next awards that coming down the line. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Ooh. Okay. The most improved player of the year. 957. Once again, we're deciding to give someone the most improved player when he was already pretty fucking good the last year. So get out of my face. 957. What are you even doing here? Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Sure, 957 during the spring split became a carry player, and you were like, what happened? What's going on here? Why is he suddenly a Fizz, Kled, like carry player? What's happening? Condi's playing through him. He is not only incredibly strong within the lane, but he goes back to his own strength in team fighting concept. He was a captain then, he was a captain now. So for me, when it comes to most improved, 957 does not fit that bill. He improved, but it's like improving from here to here. He was already one of the best top laners last year. I'm not rating you any better than that. And Icon was a carry mid laner, performed incredibly well, and though I remember last year, 2016, sure, OMG should have gone relegated, we're a poor team, all of that, but he was still in great talent. And so talking about improvement from Icon last year to this year comes down to, I would say, a little bit of leadership, a little bit of confidence, but he already had that. Amy, on the other hand, was the most improved player for me. Amy was fighting a lot with, let's say, there was a second jungler coming in with the team. I wish he's now named Yotu, but he had a name back then that he was referred to as back then. Wait, Invader? I think it was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna search it up because his name is hilarious. Intruder. Intruder, that was his name. So it was Amy versus Intruder, who would become the starting jungler of LGD. Intruder was the aggressive carry jungler, Kha'Zix jungler, Hecarim Thunderlord's jungler. Amy was the tank player support, like the supportive kind of get your lanes all together. And you know what? LGD appreciated that a little bit more. But the problem was that Amy wasn't always that kind of a jungler. Amy was a carry jungler once upon a time. Back in the day, he was a jungler who was like, everyone was hyped up for what he could do once he joined the LPL when he was coming along with Vici Gaming, gets replaced by Dandy, moves on to Unlimited Potential. Very, made sense for him. He had a lot of potential. Just didn't really work out once he finally came onto LGD. Everyone was like, carry jungler, LGD, everyone's a carry. Guess what? Everyone's a star. You know what? LGD is destined for greatness. And much like all dreams, didn't happen, baby. Didn't happen at all. Amy, in fact, it felt like he lost a lot of confidence, wasn't playing his marquee Lee Sin picks, wasn't going towards these crazy carry picks, was going towards these supportive junglers, and was performing poorly last year. Last year was Kenya drag Amy across that finish line. This year was something different. Not only was he playing towards these carry picks, but when he was still playing tank picks, like it was still a tank meta in the early portions of the season. It felt like he was doing his job, like much better. And even though LGD as a team wasn't improving, well, the team was improving very slowly. It felt like he found real growth. And it makes a lot of sense that Intruder, now known as Yothu, goes to the LSBL, finds a completely different team, and the team chooses Amy. He became a much more reliable player. So, guess what, everybody? Sometimes the awards go to a player that's not necessarily on the best team. Good concept. Let's go to the next award. Oh, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Best top laner. Ooh, best top laner. It kind of gets you going, doesn't it? Best top laner. 957, Flandre, Letme, The Shy, and Xiao. Let me immediately talk about Xiao, because Xiao seems like that ugly duckling. Now, he's not that ugly. He was a good, average top laner in the LPL during the summer split. Ooh. Has a nice Jax, has a nice Gled, can carry games, but he's on Suning Gaming, so it didn't really happen all too often. And if it did happen, and it wasn't really necessarily off his back, it was off the back of Fury and Yoon. Squirtle Squad. So, who would I put in to replace Xiao? For me, three people come into mind. One of them is named Gimgoon. Gimgoon was a very strong top laner in the spring split. It's a difficult one to talk about Gimgoon because remember, we're talking about the entirety of 2017. People are not going to be fond of someone who only showed up in the spring split on a bad team. So he's a difficult one. I can understand that. The next one, not that difficult. His name is Duke. Best top laner or second best top laner, depending on where you put Kobbe in the spring split. Goes into the summer split, he was still a pretty decent to still good top laner. It makes sense that the Shy is here because the Shy did outperform him during the summer split regular season. But I would still put Duke higher because he had consistency during the spring split. High consistently. And then of course going into the summer split, he was just good. He was incredible to good. So that would still outpace Xiao. And I don't even want to hear well, that's 2 IG players and 1 award. We already had that in previous awards, so you can put Duke here. And then we already talked about one person. And his name is, oh god, Xiang. I remember that name. Xiang. Why isn't Xiang here? Xiang was a consistent top laner in the second split. The summer split was, I would say, one of the best top laners in the league. Not only was he consistent, but he was a strong laner, and that's what you wanted to see out of him. So all those top laners I would immediately replace Xiao with. and maybe even Flandre, because Flandre had really high ceilings near the end of seasons. Near the end of the spring season, he was doing really well in the relegation tournament, which is usually when you don't want someone to, I mean, I guess you want them to be performing during the relegation tournament, but you kind of want them to perform during the regular season. He wasn't. His TPs were so bad. Was actually the worst top laner in the league in terms of TPs. I actually rated Flandre at that bottom. But then near the end of the split, at the relegation tournament, I was like, damn, he's a really good top laner. Carrying. Goes in the summer split, damn, he's a really good top laner. He's doing well. His Jarvan pick, he went back to time and time again because it fit him to a T. He wanted to be a carry top laner. He wanted to team fight and fix some of the team fighting problems that Snake had. It did all of the above, and it gave him the ability to roam towards the mid lane a little bit more frequently when he had level 6. That's what he wanted. That's what he did, and Flandre really found strength in that formula. But if we're talking about consistency here, Flandre is the opposite of consistency, so it's a difficult one with him. But who would win? Because nominees, who cares about nominees if you only have one winner, I suppose. Winner for me is 957. We already talked about consistency. He is the name of consistency. He is literally Mr. Consistency. The top laners in this list him as the best top laner in the league. Not much you can do about that if you're also known as the captain. And in the spring split was known as a carry top laner, and the summer split was known as just a reliable tank / bruiser team fighter. He was always one of the best actual team fighters in the league. So there you have it. 957 will take that one for me. Boom. Going into award number 8. Mid laners. Ooh, you probably already pissed off now, aren't you? Because we just did best top laners into the best mid laners, not best top laners into the best junglers. That's how this website did it. I decided not to update that for you guys. So now you're triggered. Good luck with that one. Mid laners. Doumbé, Rookie, Scout, Xiaohu, Xie. Would I change any of these? Maybe. I would say maybe just because it's so hard now. Because if it was the middle of summer split, I would say yes. Just because I would move Xie out, get him out of that house. Because there are so many good mid laners in the league. Zatai is a decent example, just a decent one. That I would replace with Xie. But Xie really performed near the end of that season, and he had some really good carry performances on LeBlanc as well as Jace. So he found real champions that he could just stick to, like Kassadin is a good example, and he did super well on it. Taliyah is another good example. And so he just found so much consistency and then found real strength at the literally worlds when it mattered. So you can take that W. You'll take that W. But who is the best? And by the way, before I get into that, Doumbé, of course, Jingdong Gaming had an atrocious summer split. Spring split was good. But Doumbé was still a really solid mid laner, right? He'd do well. That was it. His style wouldn't really fit with what the team was kind of giving them. They didn't have Alone anymore, and it would be like, well, who's already carry? Not very reliable until they started using Loken. But then now that they had to use Loken, they had to use a completely new jungler who didn't have much synergy with Doumbé. They just didn't have good cards that they were being dealt with. So Doumbé was getting the worst end of that. But when he finally got the victories, when he finally felt like he was able to play well with the team as a whole, you can feel the emotion out of him, which was fantastic to see. But ultimately, yes, he was still a good carry player for the team, good carry player in the league. I would have him on the list. But people will look to Icon. That would be the only player that you'd kind of want to kind of shift in there. But the winner for me is Rookie. Sure, Scout was the finals MVP. Sure, Xiaohu was the MVP of the summer split. But Rookie was just incredibly, he had strong in the spring split, summer split. People had the Rookie list where he's like, yeah, I want to take down Rookie. Icon was like, I want to cross Rookie off that list. I want to be able to beat Rookie in lane, but it never happened. And sure, it's easy to do that when you have so many resources being funneled into you, including a roaming support in Megan to be able to support you. But it was a rare, I suppose, strength of being able to take those resources and actually just find so much efficiency out of it. Rookie was just incredibly good with the resources that you gave him, and a lot of it was a question mark as to the rest of the team as to how they were playing with that advantage. When they had Kid was sure he had good moments on his Elise, but he still wasn't a good jungler, or a great jungler, I would say. West and Megan in laning phase for the most part in these early portions of the summer split. This is weak. It was weak sauce. It wasn't good. It was disgusting. But fast forward into the later portions of it, near the end of the summer split, and he was somehow finding, like, that bottom lane was finding success in laning phase, taking 2v2 wins, victories. And West had so much balls. That man had a lot of balls, I'll tell you right now. More than 2 balls, which is a freak show, but he was getting balls somewhere. And so his team fighting was super good, was super slick. And so that's how IG was starting to find success, just because the other laners were picking up. But Rookie was still the best mid laner in the league. And so he's going to take that W. Boom. Okay, the next one's going to be best jungler. See, you're tilted now because you have the best jungler after the best mid laner. Clearlove didn't have any showing in the spring split. It was Fire Lolly, and he had a decent showing. Early game was strong out of Fire Lolly, much better than Clearlove at the time. So you know what? Clearlove takes that L. Clearlove came into the summer split, and sure, he performed well in the early game as well. And I think he was definitely the difference maker as to EDG's success, because suddenly you don't have that one veteran voice out of Mako. You had another one in Clearlove, and Clearlove and Mako make an incredible duo in the mid game, and they needed that. But Clearlove, you out of there. I don't want to have you on this list. Or at least, yeah, I would. It depends. Amy, you have been the most improving player. You ain't on this list. Give me Swift. Swift he deserves to be here, and I would actually be close enough to say that Swift would be the winner, but he isn't. Condi is. And even though all of these junglers had some strong moments, Condi has been a jungler who has been the carry jungler for WE. Carry in the sense that he would have such strong early games, I would say. The team would be so much focused towards their late games that sometimes he would just be tasked to drag them into those late game portions of the fights. And he would fall behind sometimes on Gragas, but it would be much more impressive because he would be able to play well while behind, be able to be playing patiently, recognize what fights he can and cannot take, and, his engages were proper as well. Condi was just incredible. And here's the thing about this. He was named Son of Baron, and at one point it was just a meme. For me, it was a meme, because I don't like giving them people these magical names, right? I'm not a fan of magic. I'm a scientific man. But somehow he just keeps stealing Baron. And you're just like, well, stop doing 50-50s. But you know what? You can just keep doing it if your jungler just keeps gifting you Barons. So he was really clutch, is the case. He was the most clutch jungler of the people you see on your screen. And he was just goddamn strong regardless of all of that. In the spring split, sure kind of died down. I wouldn't say that it died down in the summer split, but he definitely had Mystic really showing up at the summer split. So you have a lot of members who were kind of coming in with him. So Condi's going to take it for me as the jungler of the year. And then we move on. Boom, boom. Into the best AD carry. You have an entire region of AD carries, so this is when it kind of gets interesting. LWX. Incredible AD carry who's new to the league. Obviously, he's been around for that tiny bit, but really starting to find some footing. Even bringing in some Vayne games, kind of forcing you to really deal with them in lane, or at least in the side lane. iBoy coming out of nowhere. I apologize. This is one of those things where I look at iBoy and be like, is he just replacing Zet from now on? Have we just forgotten about Zet, who played majority of the spring and summer games? Answer to that is yes. But goddamn, 2017 is not the year of Zet. Anyways, I wouldn't really recognize iBoy, even though he's had a really good set of games that he's played. 17 is a long year. And Mystic has been there throughout. in SMLZ has been there throughout. Even though SMLZ got hit by a lot of a lot of obstacle. He got hit by the blue shell, got hit by the red shell, got hit by a zigzagging green shell, got hit by that zap, instant midget lightning. The guy found the greatest case of Mario Kart syndrome near the end of the split, with a lot of drama surrounding him. But he was still super good in the spring split. He was the carry player to have, usurping both Mystic and Uzi in the spring split. That's crazy. And it sucks that he got bopped at the end of the year. But if Mystic can stick it out, Mystic sticks it out. That's why I got to give it to Mystic. I didn't even really talk about Uzi that much, but Uzi was kind of there. He was second place AD carry, third place AD carry for a very long time. I rated Mystic and SMLZ higher, and then I rate Uzi higher than SMLZ near the end of the year. But Mystic was always there. Mystic was either second or first for me. So Mystic takes it just based off of pure consistency. And remember, even though the resources go towards Uzi when he's playing, there was a good portion of the year where Mystic never got any resources. Spring split, it was early game, play through Condi, early game near the Masai area, play through 957 on his carries. Early game, play through Xie on his LeBlanc, his Jace, his Kassadin at times. WE was more known for playing through every member that wasn't Mystic until Worlds, until summer playoffs. That's when you start playing through Mystic. And then the Caitlyn pick comes into Worlds, and everybody was like, holy shit, this is badass over here. Suddenly Mystic is being played through in the early game. That's insane. So what does that mean? When Mystic didn't get that many resources, he would still come out even in lane in really losing matchups. And when he did get stomped by what would be like a multiple member dive or something, and they ended up losing to it, he would be behind and we were like, well, I know how to play while I'm behind. And W was a team that was really well known for playing well while behind and coming back into the game. It was a lot of when he would choose to take waves, when he would come and join his team to kind of defend mid lane, turret from falling. He was good at doing that. And he was good at being able to pick his fights, and team fights were strong. So Mystic was just always good. So you take that victory, my man. You take that victory. And now support time. I'm sorry, Ben. You're not getting it. Megan close to gets it. I mean, he just has defined weaknesses at the time during the split, not as a laner because he didn't have the laning presence until really later on, but sorry, you don't get it because of that. Yeah, but Megan was a great roamer. Roam towards the mid lane and would be very effective in doing so. Would kind of mix people up sometimes, find himself in the top side of the map early on in the game just to kind of mix and say, wait, well, I warded the bottom side of the map where the support is, but he kind of ganked me from the top side of the map. Where the fuck was he going? What kind of journey was he having? He was just that good. So I really appreciated Megan, but not enough to take it away from Mako, which I feel bad for 5, I'm just going to say, because Mako is a god. During Spring Split, when EDG was kind of playing half-assedly, he was still playing super well there in the laning phase. Super strong shot calling from him overall, especially during the summer. He was one of that sole veteran voices that was really needed for the team throughout. So Mako just takes best support because he's the best support in the world. 5 comes in close, even having lane with a goddamn jungler during those weird times. I just feel sad for him, and I feel sad for Ming that they have to be playing at the same time as Mako. Let's move on to the next one. I'm coming with these right quick. Yeah, there we go. This one's an interesting one. This one that people would be caught off guard with as an award that is purely for foreigners, for import slots. So if a North American came into China, then they would be eligible for this one. Rookie's been kind of just taking this for quite some time because not only is he one of the best mid laners, the best mid laner, if you were to ask Mr. Razzleplasm. But yeah, he's just going to take it time and time again, especially as the best foreigner. So this time around, I've already talked about Mystic. I've already talked about Rookie. So Scout's going to take a bit of a back seat because he wasn't consistent at all during the year, while Mystic and Rookie were just the definition of consistency. Mystic will take it from me. Squirtle Squad. And it's just so hard, this one. But Mystic's going to take it. Mystic's going to take it. Just because you also have to take in Worlds, right? And sure, it hurts because Rookie played so well during Spring Split and Summer Split. But the added success from Mystic in both Rift Rivals and Worlds pushes him to a point in international, I would say, reputation that Rookie just doesn't have yet. So it's a bit of a cheap shot, but sometimes you got to take that low blow. You got to take it. And the last one. Now remember, of course, these are awards that I'm nitpicking, that I'm picking up apart. They have a lot of this. This is going to be a bit of a long event. And the last award is going to be Best Coach. Now, I already told you that I wasn't going to be doing support staff, but coach is an interesting one because it also adds an interesting element with where their nominees are not only RNG. Oh, that's the wrong side. RNG with Coach Firefox. Not only Home. Coach Home for WE, but also for a team that didn't make playoffs. Senor Dan Gaming. So BSYY from Dan Gaming is being hyped up as a coach. Good reason for it, because when Dan Gaming overtook Vici Gaming, got into the LPL, that was an amazing bit of success for them. That's incredible. But they got drawn into the worst group possible, in a group with both IGW and EDG. And during the first 4 weeks, they were first place. How did that happen? How? It was insane. And it was that idea, that identity, of course, like that linear play style of we are going to play as the most confident team possible. We're going to be playing around this pure, I would say, decisiveness as a team. Take the fights that we have that are right in front of us. And once we get to the 20-minute mark, if there's no word on Baron, then we're taking Baron. They won based off so many 20-minute Baron takes that teams were just sleeping on. And teams weren't coordinated enough early on in the year to be able to take the team fights that they were looking to pick. But the reason why they didn't make playoffs after being at the top of the league for, or at least their group, for so long was just based off of course, what I think was the major flaw. And here's another thing. You don't know what happens within the house. And you wish there were cameras, just kind of, take a few snapshots and say, well, this coach has been doing his job. But during the cross conference, when they were really starting to bench their players, I still really want to ask them, well, why would you put Moyu in the top lane instead of Lies? Like, why would you test that when you still want that bit of success? You can't really rest on your laurels there. You still need to be able to make it to playoffs and take those victories. You still have WE, EDG, and IG behind you. That's not counting the other teams that's still trying to sneak up on you. Like, I think it was Snake and Aime. And they started making these roster swaps. Mid lane, Chi comes in. Bottom lane, Cat moves out for Phage. Like, they made so many swaps during the cross conference. They literally had the longest losing streak in the LPL. The longest losing streak in the history of the LPL. And just barely missed playoffs. And a lot of it does come to not only teams around them growing, and they weren't finding that growth, but a lot of, I would say, my reason for them not finding growth is that they weren't playing during these crucial weeks in the cross-conference setting. So that's why I would want to give it to Dan just based off of what happened the first 4 weeks, but I can't. And I would give it to Home. I think Home was just incredibly influential and was on BG Gaming last year, and he comes into this year, and that was a major acquisition for WE. WE not only finds themselves past that fourth place name, but they come into what is a first place finish in the spring split, and they were able to edge into Worlds and go far into Worlds. Like, that's insanity for me. And their biggest focus, of course, throughout the entirety of the year has been through their communication. They bring in two, or at least they've had those 2 Korean players, and they've always talked about, well, we need stronger communication, and that's something that they built off of, which is a strong mentality to have, and they really have done a good job at doing so. And even though I would question some of their pick and bans, it's not always about pick bans. RNG had had some really good pick bands throughout the year, but I still think that the coaching style, or at least what was real growth on WE, will give it to me in terms of coach of the year. So there we have it. That ends my nitpick of the LPL awards. If you guys want to watch it live, I will tweet it out, of course. I don't know what the exact stream's going to be, and I will update the video when I find out what stream is going to be. It's going to be, of course, in 2 days from now, in November 26th. So tune in if you want to watch it. It's going to be fun. I'm going to get a lot of players sitting in seats wearing those nice suits with their gals and nice dresses. It's going to be nice and cute. And I picked out players. I didn't pick out the personalities, and you're going to be seeing plenty of LPL personalities finding themselves on the stage as well. So it's been a hell of a year. 2017 has been incredible for me. And thank you if you've stuck by throughout the entire video. 55 minutes is a long time. Thank you if you've been sticking by watching the LPL, which has been a great year for me. I really have enjoyed it. It's been a great growing period for me. Thank you if you've just been watching League of Legends. I don't give a fuck if you've been watching Europe, if you've been watching NA. It's been great throughout. Season 8 already sounds crazy. This is going to be my last video, pretty sure, for the rest of the year, as I am moving out of this house. And it's going to be a pretty long moving period. It took me, I remember when I moved into this place, it took me 2 months. 2 months to get a working internet. God damn it, Australia. So I have no idea how long it's going to take me to find that wherever I go next in my next house. So stick along, like stay tuned. It's only going to get better from here, and I hope you love the game as much as you do now. And if you don't, I got nothing to say to you. So that's going to be it for me tonight I suppose. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night and tune in to the LPL Awards and of course to 2018 LPL.